in our lives and pressing in on us, that it's important to be able to go back and think, no, that's not God.
Right.
Because so many people will push you to believe that it is, and it's not. It's not. So to say things like that, the only thing God has against us is sin and death that's killing us.
The only thing he has against us about our sin is that it's killing us.
Yes.
Right? So when he comes to us about our sin, or to reason with us about our sin, it isn't from the perspective of shame or disappointment or accusing. It's for the purpose of cleansing us or purging us from what is killing us. Right? That's the problem he has with it. Right? So whenever he comes to us about it, it's from the perspective of, this thing is killing the people I love. It's causing them great suffering, and it grieves me for them to be suffering and for them to be dying.
Yeah.
So I want to purge them from this thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Think about, a number of years ago, I took a course on America's Christian history. And one of the people that we focused on was Jonathan Edwards and his sermon of sinners in the hand of an angry God. But that's the foundation of our country when it comes to it. That kind of teaching and that kind of a message. And I'm glad we're not there, because that's not a good place to be.
The sermon was what it sounds like it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, sinners in the hands of an angry God.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just going to go ahead and say what it is. And again, I hope everybody understands, we're not speaking against the person. We're speaking against the doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
That's from the pit of hell.
Yes.
Yes.
That is the devil's word.
Yeah.
Right? That's the devil's word. You know, when you look at Isaiah, Bertie brought this up last night, but when you look at Isaiah 53, when it says it pleased God for him to be bruised, it talks about it pleased God to purge us from what was striking us. Right? Is what it talks about there. It talks about something striking us, which was sin striking us with death.
Sure.
And it pleased God to purge us from the striking or the beating we were suffering at the hands of sin and death.
Yeah.
It pleased him to purge us from that beating we were taking. Right? When you go read the Septuagint translation, that's what Isaiah 53, the verse that says it pleased God for him to be bruised. It says it pleased God to set those free who were being bruised. Right? By the serpent. It pleased God to cleanse us from what was striking us.
Yes.
Right? That's what it's talking about. And so when we think of God having a problem with our sin, it's not from the perspective of disappointment or accusatory. It's from the perspective of he's the lover of our lives. He even loves, this sounds weird, but he even loves our lives more than we love our lives. Right? And so when it comes to us to talk about sin, he doesn't come to point nakedness. He doesn't come to accuse. He doesn't come ashamed. He doesn't come wagging his finger. He doesn't come full of disgust or anything like that. He comes with the intent to cleanse us from what is striking us or bruising us. Right? That's what he comes for. Right? Because he wants us to live and not die. Right?
Yeah.
He wants us to live and he wants us to not die. I mean, what did Jesus say? Why did Jesus say he came? That we might have life and have it more abundantly.
Right.
Well, we were dying. So God sent Jesus to deal with us about our sin because our sin was killing us and God wanted us to live. So Jesus comes to reveal this thing that is striking us so that our hearts can be purged or proved, or the dross could be burned out of our hearts by the fire of God's love, and we could find ourselves being cleansed from what was striking us. Right?
Yes.
And we could be set free.
Yep.
And we could live and not die.
Right.
That's his whole motivation. That's his only motivation. He's not busy thinking about our behavior from the perspective of they're good or they're bad. His mind isn't filled with our behavior from the perspective of being happy or disgusted with us. We're not on a grading scale. This isn't a classroom where God's the professor and he's busy giving grades for people's behavior. And if they can get an A for their behavior, he gives a star. His mind isn't thinking like that. His mind is only thinking from the perspective of, if my people are suffering, it grieves my heart and I want to purge them from what is causing them to suffer. That's it. That's it.
Purge is one of those words we got to move from the negative connotation category into the positive connotation category. Because in most cases you talk about being purged, most people would think that it's a negative, painful experience.
Cleansed.
Just my experience.
Kind of like putting salt in the wound or something.
Well, yeah, I mean, it goes with the whole other list of words that we've taken that have completely different meaning from a biblical perspective. than what you would use in carnal thinking or carnal speaking.
Yeah.